Hi, I'm Larry Fry, and this is my beautiful co-host.
Marlene. Hey, Larry. How are you?
Okay, how are you? We haven't seen each other in
I'm
such a
great.
long time. This show, we're going to be talking about psychic phenomena and paranormal.
Yep.
All right, and I
Okay.
think we discussed this ahead of time. We both have been touched by this in the years, unfortunately. But I think
Yeah.
most of us, if you live long enough, and we've all lost somebody, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, a spouse, children. Unfortunately, children would be probably one of the worst. And
Yep.
how we
Nope. Been
ever
there, done that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and how we get through that. So in my case, it was an experience that happened almost 22 years ago. My wife Karen, she was a critical care nurse at a trauma center in Toronto, and she was 40 years of age. And she was a marathon runner, top physical shape, no explanations whatsoever. She wasn't working that day, but I took off to work, and then I came home and was horrified when I found her. It
You
was,
found her? I didn't know that.
yeah, that's exactly what happened. I came into the house and I found her. Anyways, that was a shock that
Yeah.
has probably gone through me and has probably lived with me for the last 22
I'm sure.
22 years.
I'm sure.
So, with therapy and everything like that. Anyways, we're talking about the psychic phenomena that has gone on by that. You know, during my first experience was during the Shiva. We sat 7-day Shiva, which is a morning period for all the people that don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I had an office at the time in my house in the basement where I was doing all my product design and everything like that, product marketing. And as soon as the Shiva started, my lights shut off in the basement,
Just in the basement.
just in the basement. And
Okay.
the power supplies were working, but the lights weren't working. And I didn't know what was going on. So I said, you know what, I'm going to call an electrician, but not now. I can live with this, but I'm not going to deal with it now. Anyways, as soon as the Shiva was over, the lights went back on, which
Just
was
by themselves.
by themselves. My kids were a witness. They couldn't believe what they saw. So it was a completely abnormal, well, unknown situation at the time. And then I was going through some litigation during that period, following afterwards, and every time something bad was going to happen, 2 days before, my lights would go off. It was like a warning.
She was sending you signals.
And every time something good was going to happen, the lights went back on. It was like a warning signal, over and over again. Unfortunately, I had to move from the house after a year because I just couldn't take these psychic challenges. So it was an issue. So anyways, I was touched because I went to Temple and I met this guy, Jeff, and we used to he had a lot of paranormal experiences in his life, and he turned me on to something that was called past lives.
Okay.
So where our bodies carry past life experiences from our previous lives. Anyways, I didn't know what to believe at that particular time, but whatever he said seemed to make sense. So he turned me on to this book by Brian Weiss, an MD, who's a psychologist a psychiatrist in Florida, and he wrote this book called Many Lives, Many Masters. So I read this book in one night. I finished the whole book because and the information was unbelievable. His first experience, he used to put people under hypnotic trance, all right, to find out what their phobias were, and through these phobias, he would determine what was the ultimate cause of them. Anyways, he was put this woman through, who was a laboratory technician, middle-aged woman, and she suffered from suffocation phobia. She thought she was suffocating all the time. Anyways, he got her into a trance, and little did he know, he got into a past life. She was speaking ancient Aramaic during this trance.
Wow.
She was a lab tech. She was a university grad. She had there's no way that she knew ancient Aramaic. Anyway, she through that whole process, she found out that she was a servant to one of the pharaohs, and she was entombed with him when he died. And
Really?
once they opened that up and found that out, her suffocation phobia went away, and she had multiple past lives after that. So, anyways, I got so turned on by this past life thing, realizing that the soul keeps on coming back, and we're learning lessons throughout each lifetime. That I said, this is only a part-time stop. We're here. We're not here full time. I mean, this is a thimbleful of what we are in the universe.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I tried to find a past life regressionist here in Toronto, and I did go, but I couldn't get hypnotized for the life of me, or for the death of me, whatever it was. I couldn't get hypnotized. It just did not work. So, I was trying to find out what I was speaking to other people. So they said, why don't you try going to a channeler?
Okay.
So I did. I went to this guy in the beaches, Bart Smith. He was absolutely phenomenal.
I've heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure you have.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
Yep.
you have. He's very well known. Anyways, I'm going for my first meeting with him, and he's in the beaches, Fallingbrook area. He was in that area, the East Beaches. Anyways, I got there early, and I was parked my car 3 miles away from his location. I thought I had an hour to kill. I was going to have a coffee. So I'm sitting in my car having a cup of coffee, and this guy walks in front of my car staring at me with this unusual look, all right? Walks in, looks like he's getting himself a coffee, walks out, looks at me again, and I don't know. So I thought maybe some type of weirdo or something like that. It's a big city. Who knows what could happen here?
Yeah,
So,
really. I'm thinking it, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, anyways, I walk into, I go to the appointment. He opened the door, and the guy was standing there saying hello to me at his house. It was like, and then he smiled at me. He said, "I just saw you." He said, "I know." So there's no way. There's no Facebook at that time. He couldn't have Googled me. There was no Google at that time. I wish I had Google at that time. I would have bought the stocks. Anyway, so I'm speaking. So I ask him. He goes into this trance. And I asked, I want to verify first, validate what he was saying, that what he's telling me, that he was actually connecting with my late wife, with Karen. So he says to me, so I say, can you prove to me that Karen is here? So I taped everything. He gave me a tape of the whole session, and we came out with this first tape, all right? And I want you to listen to this.
Is there anything, if Dr. Williams connected with Karen, is there anything that can be isolated that it can identify that he sees her or hears her, or?
I will try to get something specifically from her.
Right. That would be unique.
Yeah, I will. Tell me, are you supposed to be renovating, or what were you doing? Did you have plans together?
Absolutely.
And what happened to the renovations?
It's only partially done.
She's asking me about the renovations.
Well, if she was around, she'd know that it's only partially done.
Yeah. Well, what happens is she comes and goes.
Yes.
So she's asking me about the renovations because she's aware of what is going on.
Right.
So you need to finish them, and you need to be able to complete them.
Okay. So we were doing renovations on the house, and we finished doing the hardwood flooring in the house before she passed away, and we had plans to redo the kitchen. We had the plans, and they were ready to go. The contractor was ready to go, and then she passed away. So everything was put on hold. Okay. So, anyways, I'm thinking, okay, so he knows that everybody does renovation of the house, so something a trigger. But prove to me, give me something tangible that I could sink my teeth into to prove that it was her.
She comes and goes, and that literally means it's like saying God is everywhere.
Yeah.
She still needs to do her own growth,
Right.
and then checks in with you.
Right.
But she talks about the corner. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a corner or a window being incomplete, and that things that needs to be completed.
Yes. Exactly. We have to replace a window.
Okay.
Yeah, she broke the window latch 3 months before she passed away, and we had to seal the window in with plastic on the inside. There's no way anybody would have seen this from the outside. So I wanted to do past life regression because I didn't know what was going on, right? I couldn't get hypnotized. So he did. He went ahead and gave me a little brief synopsis.
Have we shared past lives together? And in what capacity?
You have several things. You actually have been an architect, and this was during a period of time of what they call the Roman times, and she was your wife during that time. And you actually created, she had incredible visual and creative abilities, and she assisted you
Well, let me
in that
explain
life.
this. Well, you think about all this, all these products I've designed afterwards, there's some creativity there. Second of all, it was the Roman times. I probably designed the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So I had to become a chiropractor to straighten everything else out. That was also my past life. Anyways, Karen probably thought that was funny and said, yeah, you're an architect for sure. So we're going to go ahead. And, every time.
Just run with it.
That's right. That's right. Every time we come back, there's something else that we have to learn. Our body, our soul has to evolve. And that is the key. So we go on from there. And then I had 2 other sessions with him scheduled. I did go to a second session 6 months later. And then I was on my way going to a 3rd session with him when I was getting on the expressway at Steeles Avenue in the Don Valley, and my car just died. It was a brand new car. And they saw the whole electric system was fried in the car.
What?
The whole
You had no prior warning of this?
Nothing, just bingo. So I called.
You think Karen didn't put a go
Well,
there?
you know what? I called the guy to tell him I won't be able to make it. And he says, I know. And he says, your wife has had enough right now. Give her a rest.
Really?
Exactly. That's what he said to me. So I said, oh, touchy. Over time, I seemed to adjust to what was going on. I was still looking for signs, but gradually those signs disappeared. But what I feel inside is that all this past life, I could digest it. It soothes my soul because I realize that when we die, we just don't die. We existed and then we don't exist. We exist and we learn from this. And then we go on again.
There's a lot of information about that, though. Like, I'm a big believer in Abraham Hicks, where I don't know quite that I believe totally the past life thing, but for sure I believe in the soul and that this is not all that we're meant to be.
Right.
There is something else after, but it's hard because, I did lose my daughter, so it's interesting.
I remember I was at the Shiva when your daughter passed away.
Yes.
But
yes.
So what have you experienced?
Well, I've been to a lot of psychics in my lifetime because I've always kind of been drawn to them. And when I worked on the shopping channel, I actually worked with a few different people. Like there was a girl, Kim Davies, who was a psychic, and she actually ended up losing one of her daughters too, which I kept thinking, this was before I lost Lisa. Well, how come she didn't know? How come she didn't have a warning, you know?
Right.
I also worked with astrologers and things. I had the pleasure of working with John Edwards, who did Crossing Over. We actually did an infomercial, and that's a whole other story that I'll get into later.
Wow.
But as far as psychics go, it's my mother, my sisters, we always used to go, and you kind of treated it like a little bit of entertainment. But after Lisa passed away, and she was 28 at the time.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Really. It was very sad. And it was, you never expect it, but she was sick for a long time. So I ended up hearing about this woman who was really, really good, very low key, not advertised like Bart Smith or anything like that, or, she just did things out of her townhouse here in Thornhill. So my girlfriend suggested that I go and see her. So about, Lisa passed away in June. I'm going to say probably in the middle of August. I gave her my last name, nothing else. And again, this was 19 years ago. So no Facebook, no Google, nothing. Wow. And I said that I wanted to come and get a reading for myself. So I walk into her house and sit down. I really wasn't expecting anything. I was hoping she'd tell me a little bit about Lisa and why it happened, but I wasn't expecting anything else. So I sit down and she tries for about 2-3 minutes to read me. And she finally stops and she goes, listen, you're blocking me. I cannot get through or read you. She goes, but I think it has a lot to do with that beautiful young lady that's standing there in the corner with dark brown hair, and she wants to talk to you, and she's pointing to her throat like a necklace. I couldn't believe it, because I said, I think that's my daughter, Lisa, that's coming through. She goes, well, she has some things that she wants to say to you. And she kept pointing to her neck and saying, Lisa wants to say, thank you for the necklace.
Wow.
When Lisa had passed away, Jewish people aren't allowed to be buried with anything, right? But her brother, Mikey, we decided the day after, before the funeral, we were all going to go, and he wanted to have a symbol of something that Lisa could wear, and Jen and Katie and him for the rest of their lives. So he picked out a little silver Jewish star, and we got very special permission to have Benjamin's put this on Lisa after she was gone, right? So she was saying, thank you for the necklace. Nobody else knew about that. We hadn't told anybody about that. And then she motioned to the ring. She was allowed to also be buried with my mother's ring. She was very close to my mother, even though Lisa was only about 18 months old when my mother passed away, but we had talked about it a lot. So I had no doubt it was Lisa coming through. She didn't know at that time why she was called to cross over. She said she really didn't know, but she didn't want me to worry, that I had done everything possible to help her and to make her life good. And then she started rubbing her feet. And again, I'm saying, like, Lynn, the psychic could not have known any of this. So every year when Lisa got sick, we had decided to start a Braveheart Foundation, and we did a walk with Lisa. She wanted to do this to raise money for children that she had seen going through the same radiation that she had to go through. And there was a specific dedicated radiation that they were trying to raise money for. So we started Braveheart, and she actually ended up raising about $250,000 for it, all of us, over the course of years. But that year, because she had died in June, we had thought, we can't do it. We just can't face it. We can't ask her friends and everyone to come over and go through that whole thing. But she was rubbing her feet saying, I want you to do the walk.
Wow.
So we ended up doing it.
Wow.
And there was so much more, but it was just like, no way on earth that anyone else could have known this. There's just no way. So I did end up going again, and Lisa came through again, and she kind of had a story about why she had crossed over. She was helping other kids. So that was
So this woman was a medium.
Yeah.
She wasn't a psychic.
No, she was a psychic, but for some odd reason, Lisa came through this way. Normally, she would just do readings for people. You know, you're on the right career path, you're going to meet somebody. But I guess Lisa was so powerful, and she was so open to it, that it just came through.
Incredible.
Yeah, it truly was. And I'll tell you something, Larry, like, there's a lot of bad psychics out there that I know are just entertainment. Really, really. But when people tell me that they doubt that anyone is psychic, and I tell them that story, they all change their mind.
Well, that's
go, okay.
That's phenomenal. That is totally phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel about this guy, Bart Smith. He's just amazing. He was just right on the money, and everybody I've spoken to that has gone to see him had an amazing impression of what was going on. Very close, and they. In my case, I didn't have closure. It was like she was there and gone, and then that. For me, that's where a lot of the pain was coming from. Like, I mean, how did she have a pulse in the morning, and then I come back from work and she wasn't there anymore? Anyways, I have a friend who lost her husband as well, and she's been apparently seeing Bart Smith for years, well before her husband either passed away, and she had an experience with these. I'm going to show this little video clip, which is like unbelievable. She took it in her bedroom, and it was these. You'll see these bubbles. Okay, you won't see them now, but you'll see in the post-production. Okay, there are these bubbles floating around the room. All right, and she's walking across the room. I'm just wondering who's holding the camera. These bubbles are orbs. Okay, and she's had multiple psychic experiences with them. It's just absolutely incredible. So Yeah, there's stuff that's going on that we don't understand, but that's why I'm saying that we are here. If you read Brian Weiss's book, and there's multiple now.
I have read it.
You have read
Yes,
it.
I have read
It's
that.
it's
Yes.
very warming. So you understand
Yeah.
that we're here for lessons, and that's part of it. And we're not
Yeah.
the only ones that are doing it, that are involved in this. All right, there are the psychics to the stars. They're all over. Some of them are BS, but some of them are amazing. They're right on. They swear by it. Like George Clooney, he still mourns his pig. He had a pig that he was very attached to. I don't know. And again, that's what happens when you bring home the bacon. So I'm
guess.
sorry, I had
He also
to
brings,
throw that
I
one
think he
in.
also brings home the coffee, doesn't he?
Exactly.
I think he has the Nespresso commercials.
Right. Nespresso. That's right. Him and
Yeah.
John Belushi. Yeah, not John Belushi.
I don't know.
Whatever. Joe Pesci. Not Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, I don't know who it
Yeah.
is, but it doesn't matter because all I'm looking at is George Clooney anyway. So it really,
Yeah,
doesn't
really.
matter.
Everything else is oblivious.
Yeah.
You're oblivious
Yeah.
to. Yeah. So there's something definitely that we have. Like, I mean, why do you strive in this lifetime to do whatever you have to do? Isn't there a time in your life where you walk by somebody and say, "I know that person," but you can't friggin' place it. It's like a deja vu that this whole thing happened again.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot with my ex-husbands.
Oh my God!
I think I knew you. That was another lifetime ago, right?
Really?
No,
Does your heart
but seriously, I believe.
Does your heart flutter? Yeah, because that's probably AFib.
All right, but you do realize that there are some people that aren't open to it. Just like you weren't open to hypnosis, I do self-hypnosis. I had to learn to do that so I could relax and fly, because I was always afraid to fly, and so that I could actually start traveling with the shopping channel. And I went to someone who taught me self-hypnosis. And when you get into that state, it's really interesting how your body feels and how disconnected you feel and the whole bit. But there's so many people that can't relax enough to allow that to happen. And I think the same thing with psychic readings. Like when she said I was blocking her, she was right. I probably wasn't there thinking I was going to get information about myself. I was so hoping to hear something about Lisa,
There you
not
go.
from Lisa. I wasn't expecting that. So I was blocking her. She really couldn't read me. And when I now do a lot, because it gives me help since Lisa passed away, to also believe that there's a reason or there's something. So I've been doing a lot of this Abraham Hicks. And again, it was like when I first heard about it, it was like, forget it. This is baloney, right? And somebody sent me a little tape, and then I actually went to see her. It's Esther Hicks, who comes across as like 7 entities. And it is really, really, really comforting to me and powerful.
Amazing.
Because, yeah, your mind really is like a mini computer.
Totally.
You program
Totally.
it. And if you think you can, you can. And if you
Yeah,
think
before
you
our
can't, you can't.
before our show, I think mine shorted.
Yeah,
My
really.
mind too.
Well, that was
Yeah.
Karen.
Oh, that's right.
That was
Oh, yeah,
Karen.
she did a few things.
But haven't you ever noticed that if you decide you're looking for a car, you see that car all of a sudden everywhere you go.
Exactly.
Right? It's like you've trained yourself to be aware. And, I remember reading a book once called Mind Power by John Kehoe. Very old book.
Oh, I remember that.
And I actually,
Yeah.
I actually got into it because I had to learn how to fly, or I was going to really screw up a big chance to finally make some money in this world. And he said, when you give yourself positive information or positive ideas, it's kind of like, think of a big bowl of water, and you're taking a dropper with red coloring. And every day you just do a little drop and a little drop and a little drop and a little drop. And eventually that water turns red. And that's why they say that real estate agents and people like that, they drip on you. They send you those cards, postcards, we sold, because it gets their name in front of you and it goes in somehow. You just keep seeing it so that when you're ready to sell or you have any questions, it just pops into your mind. And that is called like dripping on you, really. So,
so did Bundy. So did Bundy. That really dripped on you. Or Jeffrey Dahmer. That's another one that got his name around. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he dripped around your mouth, I think, didn't he? After he finished his meal.
He was in pieces when that was all done. Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get
So-
it. I understand what you're saying. It's like,
But I have a question for you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's say you went to Bart Smith or you went to a psychic that you really believed in.
right.
And they said to you, you know what, Larry? You know that girl that you're seeing? Not a good idea. I don't think that's going to work out. Or that job offer that you want? No, back away. Would you?
Well,
Would you trust them?
I would
enough?
ask my mother first.
Good boy. My son wouldn't. That's for sure.
I
See, like, how do you know how much to
I don't
believe?
like.
How do you know
I
how
have.
much to
I haven't
follow?
gone back, and I should go back actually. But since Karen got so
You
pissed
can't
off,
afford the car bills.
that's right. Every time I got to get a new car. Before
Take the bus.
The Red Rocket. I'm going to go down with the Red Rocket. Yeah, very reliable. This city right now. Let me tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If they, I don't think they'll say no. They'll just say they'll give you a reason to rethink things.
Well, because women usually will ask a psychic, am I going to meet someone? Is this going to happen? Should I do this? Should I do that? And quite often, you really don't know. It, like I said, it goes into your brain, so you're aware of it. And all of a sudden, when things start happening, you're going, oh, should I or shouldn't I? But I think we all have, to some degree, that gut feeling, which is our psychic coming through. Like, haven't you ever been in a situation where you just know, you have a gut feeling, don't do it, don't go there, it's not a good idea?
Yeah,
And
I have.
It's so
definitely.
strong, or you have that dream that's so strong
Yeah,
that it's something bigger than just a dream.
Well, after a couple glasses of scotch, it really makes no difference. Then I just blame it on the bottle afterwards. So
Oh, you're self-medicating. Okay.
No, I do understand what you're saying. Yeah. You do get that gut feeling and I get that gut feeling to say, do it, go for it. Just go out of your comfort zone. I mean, I was with a friend last night for dinner and he lost his girlfriend. She was very young. And it's been 3 years since it happened. And he says, do you really get over this? He says, and I said to him, I haven't, but I've learned to live with it. Like compartmentalize and go on with my life. But what gave me that solace was to realize that our life is just a fragment of us in the universe, in time in the universe. And we're supposed to learn something here. That's where my solace is. And I got him onto it right now, and he's probably going for a regression tonight. Either that or he's going for a drink. One of the two.
Okay, I have to ask you. So, Is he your age?
Yes, he is. He is my age.
With a young girlfriend?
His
Just
girlfriend was
asking.
young. Yeah. I said to
Okay.
him, "And she had the heart attack, or was it you?" You know what George Burns said?
Shame
You know
on
what
him.
George Burns said? George Burns said when he was married to that woman that was 30 years younger than him, he said, "What's going to happen on the honeymoon?" She says, "If she goes, she goes." What's
Okay. Well, if he went, he wouldn't know if he was coming or going,
Doesn't matter.
right?
He had that cigar in his mouth, and
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's I mean, you have a total different call. I love to hear more about your show with John Edwards because I watched him
that was
like crazy back then, 20
okay,
years ago.
That was unbelievable. Okay, Lisa
Yeah.
loved him. That's when he just started kind of being famous.
Like 20
and
years
he
ago,
was-
right?
I think so, because she's been gone 19 years.
Right.
And I think he was doing that show, Crossing Over.
Oh, yeah.
And he decided he wanted to do an infomercial, and I got picked to be the host of that
Amazing.
infomercial, right?
Amazing.
Yeah. So we were in Florida, and we were on this bay. It was like by St. Pete's, and the whole crew's there, and big cameramen, and they're going, "Oh, this is bullshit. I don't believe in this crap or whatever." It was like, no way. They didn't believe. They just didn't believe. So he starts filming, and I do my part, introducing him,
Right.
and then he's talking, and you can see it was scripted. But he starts losing his place, and he starts being really, really like distracted. And his ears, I swear, Larry, they started getting red and red and more red.
Wow.
And then it was like he said, I can't, I have to stop. Stop the camera, stop the camera. I can't, I have to stop. And he looked at all of us and he goes, somebody's coming through. And there's somebody here that lost somebody. And he was telling a little bit of the story. And I think it was out actually in the Bay that this guy, I think they thought he was committed suicide or something, but he hadn't really. And all of a sudden, one of the techs, the PA assistant, starts bawling. And she comes forward and she goes, that was my boyfriend. And he said, well, I want to talk to you, but I'm going to talk to you in private because this shouldn't be on the infomercial. So they kind of pulled up a chair and they had this conversation. And afterwards, he explained that people thought, I believe it was that this guy had committed suicide or something, and he hadn't. It was an accident, and he wanted her to know that.
Oh, my
And
God.
every single big guy, cameraman there said, holy cow, I believe this is for real. You could have heard a pin drop,
It's amazing.
okay?
It's
It was
amazing.
absolutely incredible. And just think, like, we could have done that infomercial any place. We happened to be in that house on the bay, right, literally outside where he died.
It was destined. It was ordained.
Yeah.
It was ordained to
I believe
happen.
it.
Yeah.
I believe it. And then I felt because Lisa was, you know, I think, yeah, she was probably still alive and she loved John Edwards. There's 50 million people that do infomercials. I was picked.
That's incredible. That is totally incredible.
How weird is that,
Totally
eh?
incredible.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. So coincidence? I don't know. It's pretty
he
big
probably,
one.
he
if it
probably
is.
saw the Sleep Buddy commercial. So
Hey, I'm surprised they ever got worked again.
I
Work
don't
again
know.
after that.
I don't, yeah.
Do they know about your sleep buddy?
What? Oh, yeah.
Do these people know about your sleep
Oh
buddy?
yeah, we discussed it.
It was fun.
We discussed it. Well, we'll do another
Yeah.
show where we work together. I mean, we're going to
Yeah.
do plenty. But this is unbelievable because I remember back then he used to have a show at 4:00 in the afternoon, and wherever I was, I had to run home to watch it. Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
eh?
I was like enthralled by what he was picking up, and more so.
Mm-hmm.
The drama that he was creating in the audience of picking people. This is like
Yeah.
incredible. So something was happening. It was like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You
everybody
couldn't get
needs.
tickets to his show.
You could, yeah. I remember
You could not.
couldn't.
It was always sold out. I tried because even, to go, but yeah, it was always sold out.
I tried in Vegas. He was in Vegas at one time. For when I was there at one time, and I couldn't get tickets. It was impossible. But the chances are, get a lottery ticket because he's going to come through and give you some information. I don't know. I don't know.
It's not like that. But the interesting thing is your electricity thing, because when Lisa passed away that night, and I'm afraid, I want you to know, I love her dearly. I'm always afraid that she's going to be standing there in front of me telling me that she's suffering or that she's not happy.
okay.
So I never really did want to see her, right? But the night she passed away, when we finally got to bed, because she did pass away at home, I felt a hand. It was so obviously a hand just touching my cheek, and the warmth. It was like she was saying goodbye to me. And then Katie, every night during the Shiva, set her alarm clock to a certain station so that she could wake up in the morning and be ready. That whole week, it was never on a station when she woke up. It was always gibberish, and it was somewhere else. And then after the Shiva, we were sitting all around, and we must have had 200 people a night to Lisa's Shiva because she was 28. She was young, so a lot of people came. And we were sitting around the dining room table, just a couple of my friends who had stayed. And I remember Jen was upstairs. She was in the bathroom. And I turned to everyone and I said, well, Lisa, you had a great Shiva. You really did. And the light in the dining room only blinked on and off.
Wow.
And then Jen comes downstairs and she goes, my God, Mom, I was just in the bathroom upstairs and the lights blinked on and off. So, I think the electrical thing is how a lot of people say they communicate.
Very, very much. They say they have a
Yeah.
high degree of electrical affinity.
Yep.
Even tonight, when I was loading up to get the show ready, Everything was going on wrong. Absolutely everything. It was like somebody saying, well, if you want to talk to us or talk about it, you're going to have to work for it. So, the internet went down. Everything went down. Anyways, yeah, it is phenomenal. It is, I'm so sorry about Lisa. I didn't realize how long she was sick for. And it was, must have been awful to watch. Awful to watch.
Everybody has their journey, though. And you know what? Honestly, I lost Lisa, but I'm the luckiest woman that ever lived, because I had her for 28 years and it was her path to take. And I remember the rabbi saying to us during the Shiva, like, you're giving kids their diamonds from God. And when he wants his earrings back, he's going to take them.
There you go.
You know, so you can't live with. I had 3 other kids and a new grandchild. You have to be strong and you have to go on. They lost their sibling. They couldn't lose their parent as well. But everybody suffers different ways with different losses. And I used to have people come up to me and say, oh, nothing's worse. Well, yeah, it is. I mean, if you had a broken arm, that hurts. It's still bad.
Right.
You know, everyone's pain is different pain.
It's different pain.
So,
it's different pain.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's
different pain.
going to be lots of people that lost children that are going to be watching this show. Lots of people that lost spouses. They're going to watch the show. But
it never goes
we
away.
all touch and we all learn how to digest it over time. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
And you know what? It's like anything else. I'm sure when I look at a picture of my 3 kids now, I always can see Lisa in the background. Not spiritually, I'm not saying that, but that's why you constantly have reminders, right? And we do celebrate her life. I mean, we actually have her favorite dinners for the anniversary of her death and the anniversary of her birthday. So
amazing.
Because you have to make sense of it. It's hard to make sense of it.
How old would
otherwise.
she be now, right now? I was 20.
Oh my goodness. She was born in 75, September 75. So she'd be what, 47?
Oh my God.
30,
What were you,
yeah,
14 when you conceived her?
I had 4 kids by the age of 28. That is a whole
God.
other story. That's a whole show.
A
Okay?
little precocious. Unbelievable. Poor God.
No, just not good at birth control. What can I
Poor
tell you?
lady. Every time there was a draft, there was something else happening.
Listen, 4 times in 17 years. Please give me a break.
This is amazing.
It's like,
This is amazing. I'm glad you shared all this. It's a wonderful thing. I'm glad we were able to share together this because
Yes.
you did know Karen. We
I did.
yeah, we were
Yes, I
at
did.
that infomercial.
When I shot the infomercial for you,
Right.
she was there. We did that in Cambridge.
Exactly. With the wall of sleep buddies.
She was a nice lady.
Thank you. Anyways, this is wonderful. This is a wonderful, informative podcast. Our hearts are going out. My heart's going out for you. And I'm sure a lot of people will. Like, I mean, you're a superwoman. You're like tough as nails. Unbelievable.
I think I know a few people who might disagree with that, but
Well,
I
really?
try. What can I tell you? Yeah, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger,
Well,
apparently.
your ex-husband's lawyer told me.
Tough negotiator.
I'm kidding. Tough as nails. Wouldn't call that. Anyways, it's wonderful. I look forward to working with you. This was a wonderful
I
evening.
really enjoyed this. And I hope that people do at least open their minds a little bit to the possibilities of what your mind can do and what's really out there if you have lost somebody. You might find some comfort in just knowing some of these things or reading some of these books.
Absolutely. The books are out there. They're bestsellers. They've
Yeah.
been bestsellers forever. And back then it was for me, it was soulless. And I used to sit at Starbucks with this guy, Jeff, and we just talked about past lives and his experiences. And it just drew me right in. It gave me a whole different enlightenment.
Well, you know what I was saying before, Larry, about how when you are looking for a car or something like that, you tend to see
Right,
people that
right,
have that car.
right.
Well, I thought I was in a very exclusive club losing a child. But since Lisa passed away, it's unbelievable how many people I would just be golfing with and they'd say, oh yeah, they lost a kid or they lost one of their twins or they lost a sibling. Like there's a lot of people in this world who have experienced
Absolutely.
things like this.
It's
not-
unfortunate, very unfortunate.
yeah, it is, but that is life and it's your path that you have to walk.
You have a very healthy attitude, very healthy attitude.